Good morning, Intenders.
Good morning.
Welcome and welcome back to Morning Intentions. Today is Thursday, April 16th. Thank you for being here with us. And Annette, thank you for being here with me.
It's early this morning and I'm raring to go. Normally, we try to make these at the end of the day, and I'm finding that I kind of like doing this really early in the morning.
Your mind is more on it? Is that what's
Well, I
going
don't
on?
know. It was just, I was really looking forward to this, to get up and just get out here and make the podcast.
Well, I'm glad you're so excited. I am glad to be here as well.
And we're going to be spending some time on mindfulness for a while, aren't we, Ada?
Yes, we are. Terry Cole did not spend too much time in her book on mindfulness, and we think mindfulness is a very important aspect of creating a healthy life. It's definitely part of being intentional. So that will be our focus for a little bit, for a couple of days, and then we will continue on our journey. Annette, I have to ask you before we jump too much further in, is your life a Zen den, or is it different than how you wish it would be?
I did think about that all day yesterday because I knew that that was our intention. I had a little bit of mourning about that.
You did, mourning.
Well, there was celebration for sure, but I had some mourning because my life was not always a Zen den. It was very busy, not chaotic. I wouldn't say that I'm a chaotic type of person, but it was too busy for me.
Did it feel frantic?
I had a lot of anxiety. And I have slowly, probably over the last 5 or 6 years, tried to be even more intentional about creating a Zen den life. And I would say for the most part, my life is a Zen den life. I make sure that I have hours during my weekends where I get to do what I want to do, where I get to decompress. That's been very helpful. And we're going to talk about some strategies after probably this week. We're going to get more into strategies next week with mindfulness. But I think for me, there was this morning that why did I think I had to do all that? Why did I think that that was good? And then I had the celebration and I don't have to do that anymore. And I don't do that anymore. So there was celebration and mourning going on.
Did you bring in love and compassion, though?
I did. I brought in love and compassion. I remembered how you would always remind us of that. So that was helpful. How about your life? Is it a Zen den, or do you have some room to make it more Zen?
It's ever a work in progress. I have a few feelings like you have, where I look back and say, why didn't I start all of this sooner? I've been on a personal development journey for a long while now. Why didn't I focus on what I'm focusing on now, like sleep, at the beginning? That seems so obvious. I guess there were a few things I had to take care of first to get to this part. And so there's some celebration and mourning with me too. And then I can see as I continue my own personal development journey, more things pop up. And I think that's where there's celebration and mourning. And the thing for me is, it's just what I just said. The healthier I get, the more places pop into my mind where I could get healthier. It's that giant spiral that we talk about, where we learn one thing and then we can integrate it, we can work on it, we can use our tools, and then sooner or later it's going to come spiraling around and we're going to learn it at a deeper level. And I see that's going on in my daily life, where things that I didn't even think about or consider are now top of mind in places that I want to work on. Where if you said 10 years ago, Ada, maybe you should think about sleep, I would have said no. And there's probably a podcast out there where I said, no, I'm not doing that. Now I am. Now I'm seeing that's a very important place for me to work on. That's top of mind. It's my number one priority. And I didn't even think like that before. So it's ever a work in progress, as I say, and it feels better every day.
I think that's the way the whole personal development journey is we start it typically at a time where our life is on fire. Not many of us are taught to look at personal development concepts in very much detail at all in life. And then our life is on fire for some reason. It's different for everyone. And then we say, is this really what life is? Is this really how I'm going to show up? Is this really how my marriage is going to look? Is this really what my family's going to be like? And then we start doing our work. And at first, we can be a little maybe standoffish, or we don't want to go in there too deep. We don't want to look at the things that we really need to look at. So we start on a more cursory level, and then we slowly gather courage. We have some wins under our belt, and we can move forward. And then we start feeling better and better and better. I think what we're going to talk about today, now we're just probably just going to
We're just going to touch on it
we're
today.
just going to touch on it today, but we'll introduce it. There's 4 areas Ada and I have thought about that can get in the way of having a Zen Den life.
And can really use a sense of mindfulness about them.
We're probably not going to cover exactly what you might think we're going to cover, because we're going to start with food and what we put in our bodies. That's the first, what we're calling nutriments. It's how do we nourish ourselves so that we can show up with peace and joy, so that we can have courage and boundaries, so that we can have peace. We're going to start with food, and anything else, drink, whatever we put into our bodies can make such a difference in how we feel. So Ada, you're our resident health coach, personal trainer. What would you like to share first about what we put into our bodies?
I really want to relate this to mindfulness, because there are things and foods out in the world that generally we would say, yeah, that's good food, that it might even be healthy. But then when we start being mindful about what we eat, we can start to see what's good for our bodies, because not every body is the same. As we all know, we're all unique. We're all different. Different foods react with different people. There are people out there, and maybe this is you listening, who, when they taste cilantro, it tastes like soap. That's a thing. I don't have that experience. So when people have said that, and I read about that, and I was like, wow, that's a real thing. Who would know that unless that's you? So we honor all experiences. We want to be present with what's going on in us. We wouldn't just want to say, oh, it's just cilantro, go ahead and eat it. You could say that's nasty. It doesn't taste good. I don't enjoy it. That's where mindfulness comes in. What goes in your body that's healthy for you? If something makes your tummy upset, even though it can seem like a healthy food, that's one where you can say, maybe that's one I shouldn't eat.
I'm going to give an example of that before we go. I just saw this before I came in here. Another advertisement for protein drinks.
That's a thing for you.
That's a thing for me. So everyone's saying, oh, you need to get your protein, which I know I do. I have tried so many different protein shakes, and each one kills my stomach. I may not be able to do what everybody else is doing, but I have to listen to me. What's good for my body?
That's so true. And I kind of had the same experience with protein, but I had to go through that process with multivitamins. My doctor would always say, oh, you need to have a multivitamin. And there was always that little ghost haunting me. But every time I took them, they hurt my stomach. I felt sick. And so then there was this thing of like, well, I'm supposed to be doing this, but every time I take one, my stomach hurts. I don't think my stomach should be hurting after this. So I did eventually have to try a lot of different ones to find the right one for me, but that doesn't mean it's the right one for everyone. It's just the one that responds well with my body.
So for today, since we're out of time, think about what you're putting into your body. Do you go out for fast food and then your tummy's kind of upset in the afternoon?
Or your mood has changed?
Or do you drink coffee late in the day and then you can't fall asleep? Let's just spend today being mindful as we're nourishing our bodies. What does that nourishment, quote unquote, do? Does it sit well with us? Does it work well with us? Do we feel good afterwards? Or do we struggle in some way? And then we'll come back tomorrow with more details on this first area that can get in the way of having a Zen Den life.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Our day is better because you are part of our day. See you tomorrow.
See you then.